Welcome back, everybody, to the MB Fleet Series School. This episode is going to be on air units and the different ways that you could use air units in the game. Yesterday, or the last meeting was about, the last episode was about surface units, and we did talk a little bit about how you can use surface units during the sequence of play. Well, air is limited in the same way. So there's only several places where you can actually use air. So I wanted to get you familiarized with that and then actually show it in action in a quick running of a scenario. As mentioned last time, the turns go in like essentially a cyclical nature of an AM turn, where you also have a strategic cycle in that before you actually do any of your action. The middle turn is a PM turn, which is the afternoon, and you only do an activation cycle in it, an activity cycle. And then finally, in the night turn, you do an activity cycle, and then you kind of clean up everything in the terminal cycle. So, big picture. At the beginning of the day, you can assign aircraft to strategic missions. These missions are kind of like just placing them on like a little board, and then certain things happens because of what you put in the strategic in those strategic displays. It's kind of abstracted. It's not like a normal moving pieces around the board. It's hex to hex to hex, and as such, it's not really a use of aircraft that I kind of enjoy. But I will show how to use aircraft in that cycle, and kind of show you like the difference between how you use it in that cycle versus how you would use it in the next cycle, which is well, actually the next cycle is cap. So 3 times a day in every single game turn, you'll get a chance to launch cap. If an aircraft on cap is forced to land, you can still bring it up the next turn, but it can't be used for the rest of that turn. So every turn is basically considered its own little mini turn for aircraft to both be launched in cap, then aircraft will be landed in cap at the end of the action phase, after all units have been activated and do things. So there is a difference between an aircraft being put on cap and an aircraft being activated. An aircraft put on cap is really never moved again. It's just launched from wherever location it is, and it basically just sits there waiting for enemy aircraft to come within range, and then it can attack it. As it attacks more during a turn, its efficiency goes down. It will continue to attack until it will continue to be able to be used for an attack until it's forced to land, with an R result when you have anti-air um, battles. So that is not activating. That is just using it for cap. If you want to activate it, then you can't use it for cap, and you can't use it for strategic air. You have to wait until the activity phase starts, where you'll be able to actually activate units, and you can activate aircraft from the carrier or from an airstrip, and then send it on a mission. And then it's limited by its range, and it's limited by its loadout. Okay, that's the big picture here. Okay, so let's get into it. So I'm gonna go back to the game here. I've set up a little scenario where um, I placed a bunch of stuff all in one spot, and I'm playing both sides. So you're gonna see the American side, and you're gonna see the Soviet side, like flipping back and forth. So I'm playing it like as if you were playing both sides against each other. So on the American side, and notice I'm in the strategic air movement. So right off the bat, everything I said in the beginning was a lie. That's not true. This is an additional phase that I've added in because the game handles multiple theaters at the same time. So you may have an instance where you want aircraft to transfer from one theater to another. You can create scenarios that have that kind of concept in it. For instance, let's say you start aircraft in the USA Gulf Coast, which is kind of an abstracted location. It's not really a location that you can fight from. It is a location that you can put things in the beginning of a scenario to just explain that, hey, you have stuff reinforcements from that point. And then you can slowly, if you want to have a nice big strategic scenario, you can, if you had aircraft here, you could then tell them to transfer from a strategic location to a tactical location. Okay, if we look at the rules here for strategic air, and I know this is additional functionality that's added in. It's not functionality that comes out of the box. But for strategic air movement, only usable in AM turns, what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to transfer from an airbase to a logistical area, which is what I just showed you. That's a logistical area. It's not a real location. Or you could transfer logistical to logistical or logistical to airbase. What you can't do is transfer airbase to airbase on different. Here it says it right here. Airbase to airbase transfers are not allowed. The idea is that you would use the action phase to do these transfers on the same map. For bases on different maps, you'll have to use at least one strategic hop. So all that basically means is if I want to transfer this plane from here to Roosevelt Roads, I can do it during the action segment. Essentially what I would do is I would launch it, and it would hopefully be within range of 30, where it gets all the way down here, and then it lands. And you'd have to tell it to land because, you're basically telling it to transfer. Now, transferring does cost you something. Per the actual game rules that Fleet came out with, it changed over time. Different games had different amounts of like delay. I think the current delay, strictly written by as the rules, that if you transfer a plane, I believe it takes like a week or something like that in order for it to be ready again. So some type of just really, in my opinion, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I have in the save file a number that we use. That I guess if you want to change it, you can change it. But for this game, essentially, if you do if you land an aircraft at a base that is not its home base, in other words, you're transferring its home, then it will incur a 3-turn penalty where it will not be able to be used. So if you land it and if you transfer it in an AM turn, you won't actually be able to use it again until the next AM turn. To me, I think that's a good in between kind of a use of that. So that's transfers. So from a strategic perspective, though, you can do large transfers. Notice planes get way extra range when they're doing a strategic transfer because the idea is they're basically just loading up and there's probably going to be refueling assets allowing them. So I basically give them like I think 3 times their transfer range to be able to get where they are getting. So this EA6B can transfer to Bavaria for crying out loud. So anyway, for most missions that have been released, in fact, I don't think I've released a single mission that needs any type of strategic movement because every mission basically is restricted to a single map. But if you ever create ones that expand across multiple maps, then you can use that strategic movement. I didn't get into too much, but there's also a strategic naval movement as well that happens right after this phase, and it's very similar action, except for ships, it takes a whole lot longer for them to get where they're trying to go. Again, there's not been a mission that actually uses any of this strategery, so that's all I'm going to talk about. All right, so let's move on. Okay, all right, so now we see the Russians. And oops, I didn't show you what the Americans had, but the Americans had a lot of aircraft, no ships. This thing is about air. But for the Russians, I'm creating some obstacles for the Americans so I can show the different scenarios. So for the Russians, I just basically set up a ship over here. Notice nothing's sighted, so the Americans don't know about where any of this stuff is. A ship is here, which we're going to attempt to attack and detect. A ship is over here in the next zone over. Notice there's a zone, the Bahamas zone. This is the Florida zone. They're separated by this line here that says it's a different zone. So in the strategic phase or the strategic air phase, I'm going to use a recon asset to attempt to detect this guy. Okay. I'm going to use action movement to launch aircraft and try to find the sub and to try to find this ship using non-strategic means. I'm also going to launch enemies on cap and in anti-air missions and anti-strategic missions to show how that logic all works as well. Okay? This is sub deep mode. I'm just here because I'm talking, so let's get past it. We don't want to put the subs in deep mode. All right, allocate strategic air. Here we go. All right, so notice, as I mentioned before, so what's highlighted is E, uh, this early warning aircraft. Okay, an EA6B Prowler. Okay, so it has certain range, and notice what it can do. It can be launched on intercept on a number of so it has good enough range based on, so the way the game works is it looks at its range of 30 and then it just calculates. There's like some standard rules saying, hey, if it's over 25, then the plane can go up to one zone away from its home base. So again, I don't ever use when I'm playing with a game, I don't use strategic air. Okay, but I want to show you how strategic air works. So you can make a choice on your own if you want to use it or not. There's a bunch of different strategic missions. Intercept, it means that essentially the way it works is after both sides allocate strategic air, if there are aircraft from both sides in this intercept box, then a combat occurs. If one side forces the other one to land or destroys the other side, and there's still interceptors remaining, then those interceptors will then, if there's any other aircraft for the enemy doing any other type of mission within that zone, then they'll be called bounce combat. Essentially, so you have 2 rounds of combat. You have interceptor against interceptor, and if one survives and the other one goes away, then you have interceptor against enemy in here. And it's just kind of rolled. It's just done by a die roll. There's no like moving around or tactical stuff. It's just rolls. Now, why can't an early warning aircraft be put in the interceptor? You can't shoot anything down with a Prowler. You ask Mark. Well, Mark answers and says, because early warning aircraft, if in the same space as an interceptor, gives it bonuses during combat. Just like I think on the last um, video, I talked about how early warning aircraft can help strike aircraft when you're attacking ships. So I'm going to show that in this video today. But for this thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up some combat so you can see how it works. I really hope there's no bugs with this because I haven't used this functionality in a long time. And if there is, then I'll just pause and you know I'll fix it. So hopefully there's no bugs. All right. So first of all, what do we got for the Americans? All right. So in this hex, Key West, if you look over to the right, there's an F-18 and 3 P-3s. Now I stacked up the Americans just because I needed enough aircraft to do all the different types of missions for a demo purpose. At Homestead, we have an F-15, F-16, F-18D, which is like an attack version, and the Prowler. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a interceptor for both sides in the Bahamas, in the Florida zone, and then I'm going to launch a recon bird in the Bahamas zone to look for the ship that's out there. Okay, so you're basically doing it blind. You don't know where ships are, so you use strategic to just kind of say, hey, search this zone and look for anything that's in this zone. All right, so let's do it. So how do we do it? Well, for the Americans, I'm going to pick this P3. Notice the P3 has much more options. The P3 can be used for mining. It can be used for recon, and it can be used for TAC coordination. TAC coordination and mining. Um, Actually, I think it's showing this highlighted, but I have settings right now that say that um, Yeah, strategic mining. That means they can do it. Okay. All right. So I'm likely going to change that to show how I can do attack coordination in the action phase. But for right now, it's allowing you to do it. So, but I'm not going to utilize it. I just want to show you that that is two types of missions that you can do. Okay. So let's try it out. So for this guy, I want to bring him over to here. He's going to do recon. Now, um, yeah, that's about it. What next? I'm going to launch a fighter. I think I'm going to launch the F-16, perhaps? Yeah, I'll launch the F-16 in Intercept. And now I'm done. Okay? Now, you don't know what the other team's going to do. So you're basically doing it on your own. Let's see what the Russians do. Okay. So now the Russians, what are the Russians going to do? Imagine there's a setting you can do that says pause from switching side views that basically creates a black, like a border, basically. Like whenever you're switching between sides, it kind of makes the display black. So that if you had two people sitting in the same chair, or switching, hot chair, then they couldn't see what the other person did. Okay. Anyway, so now the Russians, what are Russians going to do? All right, so the Russians are going to launch one of these MiG-23s. They have two MiG-23s here, and they have one MiG-23 here. Okay, so we're going to use one to do strategic, one to do CAT, and one to do anti-air during the action phase. All right, so let's launch one of these guys and put it up here. So now we have essentially an F-16 and a MiG-23 in here. They should fight when I hit next. They do. Intercept combat. When you have two aircraft in strategic, the game just randomly determines who's attacking who. In this case, it says the Allies are attacking the Soviets. It shows that the column that it uses on the combat table is 1-to-1 because the ratio is 12-7. The roll modifier is 0 because there's no EW providing help. The Americans got lucky; they rolled a 8. And the result is that what this says is the attacker's damage and the defender's damage. So results are 0 for the attacker and 1R for the defender, which means 1 step loss plus a return to base. Okay? So, and now he's had a blow up. So I'll have to fix that. I knew I haven't used strategic stuff in a long time. So I'm gonna pause right here. Okay, fixed. So, that was fun. Um, yeah, so last we saw there was a combat. The Russians got a one step loss, and so now we come to the pick casualties, where the Americans get to pick the casualties. Normally, if there was multiple aircraft in this fight, then the side we get to be able to pick. But there's really only one plane to apply it to. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the loss to this MiG-23, and it should then return. Actually, it should then be moved to the return to base marker. It won't actually go back to wherever it's coming from. It'll go to this return to base marker, where at the end of the turn, planes in the return to base will then, as you could probably imagine, will return to base. Okay. All right. Now we move on. Okay, we're still in the strategic area, and if you remember, we assigned a P3 for recon. It's now saying, hey, I can recon. All right, so what are you doing here? So essentially, the way it works is strategically, this is like the easy button. Okay, if I just place this guy anywhere in this zone, it will just search for the nearest, to wherever I put it, it'll search for the nearest surface stack that is not strategically detected and will strategically detect it. If there's only one ship in the zone, which we don't know that, but we do know that, it doesn't really matter where it is, it's just going to detect it. But if you had seen an enemy before and you want to specifically look in an area because you're trying to detect something specific that you know was there, like maybe you knew there was a carrier at a certain spot, so you could place it in any spot. So I could trace it all the way up here, and hopefully it'll find the one closest to Florida, right? Because that's where this is. So I'm gonna put it there. It puts a recon marker which says surface. That means it's trying to detect surface. Now, since this P3 is a has a what do you call it? ASW factor. It could technically search for subs too, but this was a recon marker, or this was a surface marker. Now, if you click this guy and say undo, it will undo. So it hasn't actually executed a search yet. It's just getting ready to. I'm going to hit undo, and I'm going to show you that before I dropped it, if you know you're looking for a sub, you could also change it to sub recon. If I change it to sub recon, and I put it over here, then it puts a sub recon marker there. Either way, I'm going to hit undo. I just want to show how it detects ships. So I'm going to put it here, and when I hit go, if I hit end phase here, or next phase, is it's going to basically determine whether to detect something. And what it should do is it should say that, hey, we detected something because we know something's in there. So let's try it out. Okay, maybe it just didn't report. Okay, so it might not have actually reported. We'll see. Hopefully this guy did get he did get detected. We'll check it when we switch back to the American side. Let's see. Okay, so now we've moved to allocate at cap. Okay, so what are we gonna do? I think what we're gonna do here is the Cubans are gonna launch cap here. So simply, it's already highlighting it. I'm just gonna say assign a cap. That assigns it to cap. Now you see the blue marker on top. And remember, here in the help, there is a unit indicators where you can then go through these and see what all the things mean. Okay, bars across top. There should be a cap one. Lights. Oh, here it is. Combat Air Patrol cap, light sky blue. Each turn, air units can be designated as on cap, limited to interceptors, AEW, and EW type planes. Okay. So, what does cap mean? Cap simply means that up to a range of 4, if any aircraft comes in there during the action phase, you'll have the opportunity to intercept them with this interceptor. The first time you intercept it, it'll be at its best efficiency. After one attack, it loses a little efficiency because a die roll gets taken off of its roll, and after 2 attacks and up to 1,000,000 attacks, it'll have -2. Likely, it won't survive that long, or it'll get returned to base in that meantime. So we're gonna go ahead and launch this guy's cap, so that during the action phase we see the cap logic take over. All right, that's it. Hit next. I'm saving this guy for launching him as a anti-air interceptor later on in the mission. Okay. All right. Allocate cap. All right. So I'm gonna have to figure out what happened there, but that guy should have detected this guy over here. I don't know why he didn't detect a surface ship there. So I'll have to check that out. Um. All right. So for us for the U.S., I'm gonna launch cap. I'm gonna launch the F-15, and I'm gonna assign him to cap. Now, the reason why I'm signing into Cap is because I want to show you the fact that when Cap gets launched, not only does the enemy get to launch Cap, but any nearby friendlies can also be brought into the Cap to help protect. All right, so now he's in Cap. That's all I'm going to do. I'm only going to allocate those 2 guys, so let's move on. All right, pre-action phase group management. There's nothing really I want to do. Okay, so and don't you worry, by the time you see this video, I will figure out why this guy didn't get detected, and it will be fixed in the code. Promise made. Um, all right, so there's nothing really anything to do here. I'm just gonna skip past it. Oh, what's this red thing mean? This red thing means simply that from the Russians' perspective, it detected something. So it did. It detected this US F-18 because these guys are within air-to-air range of each other, which is this air search 4 for interceptors. Notice this air search 4, so they can see each other. Now they don't go into a combat, so it's like one of these things where the game actual game rules don't actually have cap that are sitting right next to each other go into combat. Something that's actioning, which will be this group that I'm going to action later in a little bit. It is uh, that's what initiates the combat, and that's what these guys would then be drawn into, and they would fight each other. All right, so I'm about to go into the about to go into. I need to plug in my machine. I'm about to go into it, so I'm just gonna the action phase. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit pause on this thing real quick. Okay, I'm definitely up too late, so I screwed up the figure. I figured out what the problem was with this, and if you roll back the videotape, which I haven't done it, but I'm pretty sure this is the problem, is I switched it over to sub when the aircraft that was the P3 that was in this zone, when I switched it over to sub mode to show you that you could switch to sub mode, and then I canceled it, I didn't switch it back to surface mode when I dragged it again. So somehow I didn't even realize that the thing was still saying sub. It was searching for a sub. Thus, it didn't find this surface. So just pay attention to what you're searching on. So that's the problem. Um, Anywho, let's see here. Yep, I think that's it. All right, so I think we're done with this. So yeah, there's nothing to do here. So let's get into the action phase. You can see stuff actioning and doing fun stuff. Okay, high speed. Nobody wants to go in high speed. We're skipping. All right, activate stack. Russians. All right, the Russians are gonna activate pretty much. Eh, yeah, I mean we're just gonna activate the well, we'll just leave this stuff not activated just so it goes through quicker. There's no reason to actually have it activated because all they're going to do is sit there and be targets. Um, so yeah, that's about it. Well, I'll activate it anyway, just to say. Okay, he's activated. We're gonna activate this sub. We're gonna activate. Let's see here. Oh, I have to tell whether it's normal or full speed. So this is for subs. You can make it go a little faster. I'm gonna say normal. All right. Let's activate this guy first. Okay, so now aircraft. All right, so this interceptor. Um, Notice that when I'm highlighted, this is what this guy allows me to do. So you can either create an air group where you throw a bunch of planes in the same group, and when you do that, pretty much you are limited. Essentially, yeah, they can move together as a group, but they can't do anything special. Essentially, the aircraft that are bombing or loaded with SSMs can fire, but the you can't do anything specific for the the let's say you bring an EW, you can't do attack coordination. And if you bring an interceptor, you can't like have it go into air intercept mode, which are things I'm about to show you to do. So I pretty much I just activate individual aircraft and I just move them as individual aircraft. If you want to do them as groups, then they act like the regular game allows them to do, which is just a big group moving around and it can pretty much just do. The only things that could do anything are the ones that are like actually doing bombing and stuff. So I like using individual planes, but that's just my cup of tea. All right. So anyway, so what do we want this MiG 23 to do? So I want to test. I want to show you how the air superiority mission stuff works. So I'm going to launch this guy in air superiority mode. What that means is when he launches his air superiority mode, he'll be able to actually attack other aircraft. Okay, so this is a new feature that I added into the game. Um, it means that he'll be able to launch and fly around, and if he gets into the same hex as enemy, and he's set in, uh, and we turn him like in active seeking. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Then he'll actually, when they move into the same thing, the hex, they'll be combat. Otherwise, the only way that aircraft fight each other is via cap. So until I invented this air superiority mission, the only way things ever battle each other is if things get intercepted by cap. So you could have two planes flying around. That's the thing, right? The old game never had two planes flying around at the same time. The old game had one thing moving at a time, and you never had enemy forces moving at the same time. So there was never a need for an air superiority mission, but since I've now allowed stuff all to be moving at the same time, I have to give the ability for planes to be able to react when they see other planes, especially if they're fighters. So, long story short, this MiG-23, I'm going to launch them in air superiority mode. All right, when I do that, I have some options. I can either let them go for extended range, um, or let's see, if he's in extended range, then I think his uh, his bomb load would be down. So I'm just gonna keep him in the normal. Yeah, I'm just gonna hit end phase because I don't want him to have any type of extra stuff. If high mission profile, so extended range essentially gives you an extra 25%, but your bomb load or your SSN load is halved. High mission profile gives you another 25% uh, extended range, but then you have negative modifiers when you're fighting against ships. Ships, any of the attacks that you do, you'll get a small modifier, a negative modifier, because you're flying at a high mission profile. It means you're easier to detect, so it's easier to defend against you. All right, but I'm not picking either of those, so I'm just going to end phase. All right, last is there's nothing left. There's nothing left to activate, so now I'm going to activate all the American stuff. What am I going to do? All right, first I am going to launch one P3 in. Here are the different options. You notice it can be either ASW patrol. So I'm gonna launch one of them as an ASW patrol. I'm gonna launch another one as a attack coordination mission to help attacks, and over here, I'm going to launch the F-18 as a bomb group, and I'm going to have it escorted by this EW plane. And the Recon that is doing the tactical coordination, I'm also going to launch a fighter in air superiority mode. So let me go ahead and do all that. So first, the Prowler. The Prowler, um, I'm going to launch him as TAC coordination mission, but I'm not going to use him as TAC coord. I'm going to use him as an escort. So, but I only have one option, which is to create a TAC coordination mission. All that basically means, all TAC coordination mission means, is that you're launching him with no specific. He has no weapons, so he's in the element to provide tactical coordination. So this is slightly different than through the strategic phase. Um, with TAC coordination during the action phase, you have a little more flexibility. For if you launch during the strategic phase, you can really only TAC coordination on one stack, and you'll be coordinating on that stack for the whole turn. But if you launch it in the action phase, then I give you flexibility to you could TAC coordination against a bunch of different targets as long as you have enough range and you can stay aloft for long enough and you arrange your movement to allow this guy to be right on within range of targets to TAC coordinate. So it basically gives you the full flexibility of doing your TAC coordination missions. All right, so I'm going to launch him as a TAC coordination mission. When I do, I'm not going to put him in hyper mission profile. I'm just going to say end phase. All right, next is this F-18. This F-18, I want him to launch as an air superiority mission. When I do that, I don't want to give him any of this stuff. So I am going to hit end phase. F-18D, he's a bomber type thing. It's a special F-18 that is like a heavy one, and it's got air to ground stuff. So notice its air to air is much lower than a normal F-18C. So I'm gonna launch this guy as a bomber. Now, when I launch anything, anytime you launch an interceptor, you have to determine whether or not you're going to launch them fully with like all the bomb load that they have, or you can halvesies it. So if I chose bomber, then he's going to have essentially he'll have a uh, his air to air will drop from 4 to 1, but his 70 will stay the same. If you choose fighter bomber, then his 4 will stay the same, but um, actually, I think his 4 will turn to 2. It'll halves, and his 70 will turn to 35. Okay, so I'm just gonna launch him as a bomber. Okay, I want his full bomb load because I want to attack this aircraft, this ship that's out there that I haven't found yet. I can also launch him with extended range, reduced range, or high mission profile. Reduced range, if you're launching bombs, if you're a bomber and you have bombs, then you can have your movement range to um, add a bonus to your bombs. Okay, I think I explained this here, but let me see if I wrote that down. Reduced range cannot be combined with other options. Interceptors, attackers, and bombs range half. Bomb value increased. So it's increased by like I think it's like I believe it increases it by 30 unless so if the bomb value is over like I think 40 or something like that, then it adds 30. Otherwise, it only adds like 15 or 25 or something like that. So anyway, sometimes you might want to use that. You should play around with it. But then that gives him a range of only 10. I want him to keep a range of 20 because I want to play around with the. I want him to have as much range as he can because I might have to like play around with the aircraft so that everything meets at the right time. The goal, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to coordinate these strikes so that the bomber will be over the target with the EW to help to give it an extra boost of defense against the ship. And I want the P3 that's going to be doing tack coordination. I want it to get there first and tack coordinate on that ship. So all I'm doing is I'm increasing all of the chances of additional stuff. I'm giving early warning with the attacking aircraft. I'm going to be designating attack coordination, and combined all that, you should get a bunch of modifiers that hopefully will then allow it to destroy that boat. Okay. All right. So this F-18D, I'm not going to do anything special, so I'm just going to hit end phase. So keep it normal. All right. Now this Recon P3, I think. Did we already launch? Hold on a second here. Did I already launch this guy? Okay, so I haven't done either of the P3s yet. All right, so for one P3, I want to launch him in ASW. And for the other P3, I'm going to load him with no torps or any type of ammo, but I'm going to load him in TAC coordination mission. So that means he can do TAC coordination, which I plan to use him as a TAC coordinator. Okay. All right, there, we're done. All right, so since they now are activated, okay, now the game detects it and it says, okay, now I have activated aircraft and I have a cap in range. Do you want to intercept? So it's asking, and it's telling, and you can tell the red line is going between here and here, and it's showing that, hey, do you want to intercept these guys? Yes, I do, just because I want to show it. Assign all cap in this hex to intercept, in this guy's hex, which should be just 1 MiG-23. So I'm going to assign all cap. Now, because that's happening, friendly assist. If there are friendlies within 4 of this location where they're being attacked by enemy cap, and this F-15 hasn't done any other cap intercepts yet, which it hasn't, If it did, you'd have a little red box right there that shows that it's already done an attack. Since it hasn't, it's available to provide friendly assistance to this guy. I will choose to do that. Once I do that, there should be combat. Yes, there is. Cap combat. Soviet versus Allies. Attackers, a MiG-23. Defenders, a F-18. Two P-3s, and the F-15 coming in for friendly assist. Column 1 to 5, 6 to 25. Okay. Um, roll modifier, 0. There's no modifiers for this. Why? Because the EW that's up here, he's not part of this combat. If that EW was on cap instead of activated, then because this is a cap combat, then the EW would have been included with this in this friendly assistance, and it would have been added into this list here, and it would have given a roll modifier for the Americans. They didn't need it because the Cubans rolled a 4, which cost 2 step loss and a return to base for the attacker. Notice that cap has now done an attack, so it now has an indicator to show it has done one attack. This MiG-23 now is, I have to apply 2 losses, which I think is going to destroy it. 1, 2. He gone. Alright, so he gone, and you know he's gone by going up here, and you can tell view destroyed. There he is. He gone. I like saying he gone. Alright, and I'm like super loopy right now because I'm up late doing this recording. Alright, so let's launch everybody. We're in the orders round, so now you got to move stuff, right? So the orders round always requires everything that's activated to be constantly moving. All right. So what we're gonna do? This is the P3. It shows that he is in recon mode. This P3. Okay. So this is my tactical coordination guy. So I'm gonna launch him, and what we need to do is like what I'm gonna want to do is I want to get him close as I think he needs to be to that ship, and um and then I'm going to turn on his surface search, and I'm going to have him find that ship, right? So I know where he's at, so I'm going to go right to the right spot I need to go. Sue me. Okay. I think the Russian is like here or something like that. Okay, so he should detect it. All right, he's going to move there, and you still have a lot of other stuff you got to give orders to. Let's talk about so who's the next guy? All right, this EA6. All right, so what he's going to do is he's going to kind of just loiter around, right? So I'm going to have him and the bomber kind of go off here and just wait for things to happen. And then once I've detected this guy, then I'll swoop him in and attack. Okay? So ships or planes are a lot faster than ships, so they can do all this before the ships even move 1 hex. So I'm going to have him go 1, 2, and then I'm going to have, let's go next. Okay, this F-18, this is the, all right, he's air superiority, right? So I'm going to have him kind of escort, I'm going to have him move along with this guy till we get to that point. Because I think that's where I sent the P3. All right, now, who's next? The F-18, this is the bomber. I'm going to have him stay with his EW aircraft, so I'm going to move him right there. Next. All that's left is the ASW. Notice he has a torp. It says torp 1. It means he has loaded with torps. He's on ASW mode. I'm going to have him try to find the sub. So I'm going to have him fly right here, which I think is where the sub is. When he gets there, the game will stop and say, hey, these people have reached their things. And at that point, I'll put him into like recon mode. Okay? I think that's it. Let's go. All right, Russians. Okay, so I'll have to remember. Okay, so all right, so my stuff's off. I forgot where they were at. Even when I, even when I'm cheating, I can't remember where the guys are. All right. Anyway, so I'm just gonna have these guys kind of hang out here. So pretty much, this one's gonna go into loiter, which allows him to stay where he's at. For this guy, I want him to be on loiter. I want him to stay where he's at. This guy, I just whatever. I'll just have him move. It doesn't really matter. We're not gonna deal with him at all. Um, who's next? This guy has to move. Okay, so we launched him as a fighter. Okay, so I'm gonna put him. Okay, so notice I'm gonna put him at auto intercept. Notice also that since he's sitting over his home base, it tells you, hey, you can land him at this home base. If I landed him right now, he'd be done for this turn. So I don't want him to land yet. I'll do that later when he actually wants to, when I want him to land. But I am going to put him into auto intercept mode. All that means is that as I move him around, if he happens to go into the same hex as enemy, he will attack him. So I'm going to try to have him attack the one of the P3s that's trying to do the attack coordination, assuming he finds them. But since I know where they're at, I'm just going to kind of throw them together. So put him into auto intercept mode. Notice now he's got this red bar on the bottom. That means he's like in hunter killer mode as an ATA, as an air to air. But I got to move him somewhere, so I'm going to move him over here. And yeah, I don't know exactly where everything's going to be, so I'm going to kind of put him right here. And since he's only moving one, that means I'm basically controlling the way that the logic works. Where since I'm only moving in one square, he'll move there in the first hex. So then the Russians should be able to get to redo their orders at cycle 2. Okay, so let's try it out. Okay, well, here you go. I forgot all about this. All right, so since now he moved, he's now within 4 hexes of the American cap sitting here, this F-15. F-15s, since they're non-carriers, they can utilize their full 18 points no matter where they're intercepting. Okay? Carriers have less, so the farther out you intercept something from a carrier, the more of a divisor happens against your number. Okay, so but F-15s are launched from land, so they can attack using 18 points. So I forgot that this guy's sitting right here. He's already got one attack, so there will be a small die roll modifier for this F-15. But hey, let's try it. Um, well, So I want to try because he's likely going to blow this guy away. So why don't I'm just going to not intercept right now. I'll wait a little bit later to intercept. Essentially, every single time this guy moves within range of this guy, it's going to ask me, "Hey, do you want to intercept?" Until either this guy's gone or he's already attacked him once. So once this guy attacks this particular plane one time, he can't attack this plane ever again. But until then, not ever again, but during this turn. All right. Anyway, I'm just gonna skip. He's not gonna intercept right now because I don't want to destroy that Big 23 yet. All right. Russians got orders again. He only moved one. Okay, but he's now detected stuff. Okay. He has an air search of this guy has an air search of 3. He can see out um 3 spaces. He sees these guys. So now he knows they're out there. So now he knows, hey, I want to go intercept this P3. So I'm gonna move. I don't know where this guy's going, but I'm gonna move up one and get in his way. Let's see what happens. All right, Americans. They got. They still are moving where they need to go, but the game's smart enough to know that hey, something got detected. So I'm stopping now. So now you can react to it. I'm not going to do anything to react. I'm still going to fly this guy out because I want this combat to happen. So let's go. It should go to okay. So now everybody moved again. This F-15 now has yet another chance to intercept, but again, I want to make this combat happen, so I'm going to go ahead and not intercept. Hit end phase. Okay, round 3. Okay, the Americans. The Americans um, have run out of orders, so now they got to figure something out. I think what they're going to do is I'm just going to have them loiter here for a little bit. They got plenty of range. I think this is all going to resolve itself, and they'll then go attack whatever's found. I believe what the sub is here, and the ship is here. So anyway, these guys are just going to loiter. They're just going to wait. So I'm going to put these guys into loiter, which allows them to hang out in that hex without it like yelling at me saying, "Hey, you need to give them orders." So loiter just means they'll just keep burning their fuel right there as if they're moving, but they won't move. All right. So I think okay. So now this guy, okay, um, this guy is escorting this P3, and he is also in air superiority mode. So now he says, "Hey, I wanna attack this MiG-23." So me and my P3 are gonna move right in here so that there's combat. All right, so I'm gonna turn his auto intercept mode as on too. All right, so these guys are like all going. I think he's going there. Yeah. All right, this guy is also going in loiter mode because I want him and his escort, the EW, to wait around to find out what happens here because we're trying to find a ship for this guy to attack. So he's going to go in loiter too. All right, let's go. All right, now the Russians, he reached the end of his order. So what he's going to do is, I don't know this, but I do know this, that this guy is these guys are about to fly into his hex. So I just want to let this happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this guy loiter. He's still in auto intercept mode. So when these guys move here, there should be a combat between these two. Let's find out. Okay. So now before the intercept happens, before the actual this engagement here, this F-15 is given the chance to do an intercept. Again, I'm going to not do it. Okay, boom. So, interception combat, Soviet versus Allies. So it picked the Soviet as the attacker. Attacker MiG-23, defender F-18 and P-3, column 1-1, so it's 7-7. No modifier. Roll 0. Terrible roll. And he just killed himself. 2R. All right. Pick casualties. I have to pick the casualties, so I'm going to apply the loss to this MiG-23. And in the immortal words of me, he gone. All right. All right. So now, what am I doing? Okay. So now everything's starting to go into search mode. Okay. So this guy, this Recon, he's looking for subs. I'm going to move him right on top of the subs. I think that's where the sub is. I'm just trying to show you how it works. Obviously, hunting subs is a lot harder in real life, but I'm making it so that when he gets over that, he's going to go into search mode, and what we're hoping is that he's going to eventually detect this sub right underneath it, and if he does, he's going to attack it. Meanwhile, these guys are hanging out here. I'm going to put this guy into loiter mode because the P3 that he's escorting, which is leaving those guys in loiter until we detect something. This P3, who just didn't get killed, he is in Recon, right? He can search. He has a surface search of 2. If he stops and goes into search mode, he has a range of 2. Currently, his surface search is 1 because he's not in search mode. So I could just roll. I could move him here, and he'll automatically detect them. But I'd rather show you how to put them into search. So the way you put them into search is you click this surface sub search. You now should see a blue thingy on top, which means he's in search. Normally, when you're in surface search, he's basically doing both searches at the same time. He's surface search, which means he has a range of 2. So now it shows the surface search is 2. And since he has an ASW factor, he's also searching in this hex for subs. We know the sub's not there. The sub's here. But he's still searching. All right. I think we're almost done. All right. Moves. Bang. Okay. Now it's the Americans. He reached the end of his movement. And this guy did his detection, and he detected the DD Provone. So now everybody, lottie dottie, everybody's gonna come and blast this guy. Okay. All right. So first of all, this guy is gonna go off of loiter mode. No, I'm say okay. So I probably should have searched with this guy. So here I'm like almost killed. I'm too smart for my own good. I tried controlling everything and I boo booed. All right, I'll tell you why I boo booed. So what I'm trying to do is I want this guy here, who can do a attack coordination. He has to be. I think he can attack coordinate against. Oh, he can. Okay, great. Okay, great. So he's going to be searching. He can surface attack coordinate up to 2 spaces away. Okay. Um. So what I'm going to do is this guy. I'm going to take him off loiter, and I'm going to move him right over this. And then when he gets on top of that guy, he's going to bomb him. Who else we got? This P3, I'm going to have him go into sub search mode, but since he has ASW, he's also be searching for subs within his hex. So there you go. So he's looking for subs. Well, they both looking for subs, but he's probably gonna find it eventually. He has weapons to actually attack the sub. This guy does not have any weapons, but he does have a very significant weapon, which is he has the ability to surface attack coordinate, which gives a +2 on the die roll when this guy bombs. Okay. Now there should be one last guy. I think this EA, yeah, so the EA6B, I'm taking him off loiter because I want him to escort the F-18 so that we get the bonus of the EA6. All right, I think we're good. Russians, notice that guy moved. Okay, now we're in round 6. This is, okay, I think, I'm not 100% sure why it's telling me I need to do. There's nothing really for me to do. I think probably something got detected. That's why it's pausing. Okay. Oh, there you go. Look, the look here. The reason why it paused. I'm so dumb. The reason why, and I should have guessed. The big red circle happens. That means something got detected. The Victor 3 got picked up. Okay, so we found him. All right, so let's start doing some attacks. So he is going to on this turn he is gonna attack the guy with an ASW, and here I'm targeting this guy. Okay, so he's now targeting this guy. It shows Recon P3 ASW attack. Now here's the flexibility of now using attack coordination in the action phase. This guy can this cycle for this attack provide attack coordination to this hex, and then when this guy gets here, this guy can provide attack coordination to this hex. Let's go. All right, so this guy. Why is it saying only surface tech coordinate? I'm thinking he may. I'm thinking that he may have to be on that square in order to. Yeah, so you gotta to do attack coordination on a sub. It's pretty hard. You literally have to have 2 recons in that square. So I messed up. So attack coordination uses the same range that the thing would be able to attack with, right? So for surface, this guy can attack coordinate 2 squares away because he can see out to 2 hexes. but he can only see one hex for sub. So he would have to be in this hex with this other P3 in order to provide tack coordination. Okay, so you live and learn. So this guy's gonna have to attack this guy. I don't think he's gonna damage him. He might get lucky, but we don't have the additional bonus of the tack coordination. We will, however, get the bonus of the tack coordination when this bomber gets on top of this guy. So here's an attack. Boom. ASW, Allies vs. Soviet. Attack on SNK 242 with 4 points. No modifiers. He rolled a 5. He got an attack result of 1. And as we discussed before, an attack result of 1 on a guy that has a defense of 7 is like a tickle. So he doesn't do anything to him. Okay? Let's see. All right. Now what do we got? From the Russians' perspective, the Russians see this guy coming, and he can't really do anything. So he's just sitting there. But it does let you know as the Russian that hey, there's something detected. Now, I'm seeing both sides of it. If you were just playing it as the Russians, you wouldn't have seen all that other stuff. You would just see what you see. So if you're playing against the AI, then you'd see this, and you wouldn't have seen all the other stuff. But since we're seeing both sides, it's kind of slightly confusing. But I'm trying to show both sides of it at the same time. But I think you understand. All right, so he can't really do anything about it. He doesn't have um, significant enough uh, area air to be able to attack this aircraft from one range. He'd have to have at least a 6, I believe it is. Yeah, I think at 6 he can reach out to one hex, but he can't. He will be able to attack him when he gets into this hex. Oh, we'll see. Movement. Now we're in round 8. Okay, Russian's perspective. The Russian's perspective, he sees 2 blue guys in his location. There's a red mark around it that tells you that there's something. I detected something from my perspective, which is the red perspective. What do I want to do? I'm going to do an AAA attack. I do have area air. I have ammo. I'm going to try to attack these guys before they come in. So, AAA attack. Target this location. It's the only location you can attack. And he's hoping he gets lucky. All right, let's see what else. Nothing else. Nothing nobody else can do. So I'm good. Americans, on the other hand, in Cycle 8, have some stuff to do. So this EW guy, he is escorting him. I believe. Will I be able to do tech coordination with this guy? Let me see. I don't think I will because maybe I will. But he can tack coordinate from inside this thing. So I think you have a choice here. At this point, you really have 2 aircraft that you could do tack coordination with. You can't get double the points, so you only pick one. So really, in retrospect, I kind of did it stupidly. I had 2 aircraft launched that could do tack coordination. I could have had at the same time this EA-6B provide tack coordination to the ship that they're attacking, at the same time as putting this P3 in this hex to provide tack coordination on that guy. But whatever. That's life. It happens. All right, so I'm going to put him in surface search, and then I am going to surface tack coordinate against this location that he's in. Yes, I target that location. So now, and it shows that there's a surface tack coordination attack being done by the EA-6B in this hex. Also, let's talk about the F-18. The F-18 is sitting right on top of these guys. The F-18, we're going to do a bomb attack. Target ships or cancel attack. Target ships. All right, now, I still have to give him movement orders. So what I'm going to have him do is he's dropping his bombs. That's going to happen. There's a bomb attack here. And we're going to have him return home. When he gets on top of there, it'll tell me, hey, he's ran out of things to do, and it'll give me an option to land at his home base. I think we're done. All right, so this bomb combat, let's see what happens. There's going to be a couple things happening. I think first the AAA is going to fire, so the Russians might get lucky. Let's find out. All right, no. The Soviets attacked AAA. No, okay, so here's some of these modifiers I talked about yesterday. He's not part of a task force or task group, so he immediately gets a -4 on his roll, which is bad. His EW, there is an EW supporting the fighters, so the Russian, has a -2 on his roll. See, that's why EW is important. The attack roll modifier is -6. He rolls a 1, and he gets a -5, which that's the result that gets compared to see if you do any damage to airplanes. Well, that's definitely not high enough to give any damage to airplanes, so nothing happens. Now we go with the bomb combat. Now, on the bomb combat, he does get he does, the defending ship does get a chance to fight off the bombers. However, notice that that the only thing that can contribute to this attack is the close air of the DD. Why? Because he already used his area air in that last attack we did. You can only attack a ship, can only attack a fighter or a particular unit one time during the turn. He already used his opportunity in his AAA attack against that stack of aircraft. So all that's left is just these 2 points of close air. Again, he has all these bad modifiers. He has a total defense roll of -6, and he rolls even worse. He gets a -5. So his defense modifier is 0. So that means the Americans are not going to have any negative on their roll. But they will have some positives because they have EW and TAC coordination. Let's find out. Whoa. All right, so bomb combat, Allies versus Soviet. First, the Americans get, because of the TAC coordination, they get a +2 to their roll. The EW already got counted on the defense modifier, so it doesn't get counted again. So he attacked the DD Pravorny with 70 points, which is a hell of a lot. He got an attack modifier of 2 from the TAC coordination. He rolled a 9 and he got an 11, which results in a 10, which is like one of the highest numbers I've seen you get. And heck, that would destroy, that 10 with these modifiers would have destroyed a carrier, for crying out loud. Target destroyed. Okay. Round 9. This guy's ran out of things to do. He doesn't have anything left. He really can't do anything. Nothing, and we don't have enough aircraft to attack anything else, so I'm just going to send everybody home. There's really nothing left for them to do. So in order to send them home, I have to take them out of surface sub-search, and I'm going to move them home. I think everything else has orders. This guy is still in, he's in search mode. He has 4 cycles to go. I think I explained this in one of my earlier videos, but when you go into this surface mode, the disadvantage of this surface search mode, or this search mode period, is that it locks you in for 5 cycles, which is not a lot, but it does lock you in for 5 cycles, which means that this EA6B can't do anything for 5 cycles. He's already spent 1 cycle like this, so that he only has 4 cycles left. In 4 cycles, there'll be a big yellow around him telling you, hey, you got to move this guy. All right, I think everything else, let's see what else we got. Okay, this guy's in loiter. The one thing about loiter is real quiet. It doesn't really warn you. You just got to pay attention. So he's in loiter, so it's never going to tell you, hey, the guy's in loiter. So you got to remember he's in loiter, and you got to say, hey, since I got nothing left to do, I'm going home too. So I take myself out of loiter, and because I'm now out of loiter, it says, hey, you need to move. I am. I'm moving here. Okay. What else we got? This F-18's heading back, so he's fine. This P3 has 1 cycle left on his search mode. After that 1 cycle, we'll be able to tell him to go home. All right, now he has to move home. So I'm going to take him off of sub-search. I'm going to send him home. All right. Notice that the P3 has the red on him too. That means he conducted an attack. Same thing with this. Oh, no, this is the guy, right? So this is the guy. He did conduct that ASW attack, so it shows that he has one attack. It also says up here. I think it says. Oh, it does. It doesn't say one attack. Reason being, I mean, he did conduct one attack. It doesn't say it up here because there's no reason for an aircraft to say one attack. As long as he has an attack, that's all his attacks. Aircraft can only attack one time during a turn. So you don't need to specify that he has one attack because he's got this here. Um, Conversely, Cap, which can conduct multiple attacks, does tell you how many attacks it has so that you know if it's going to have a modifier or not. All right, I think we're done here. And we're pretty much done with the video too. But I'm just going to let everything kind of play itself out. Okay. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I'm not sure why this guy stopped here. I think it's because I just normally every time we hit cycle one, it automatically lets the the player with ships active be able to react or change the direction or do something in reaction to what the situation is. Um, all right, I think that's it. All right, Americans. Um, this guy now, he's available. Oh, no, he's still got 2 cycles. I think. I think that's about it. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, the Americans don't have anything to do either. Let's see here. It should it should alert me when things get over their base. Yep, there we go. This F-18, he's sitting over his base. He has no orders. What do you want to do with him? I'm gonna land him at home base. There you go. He's gone. What next? F-18. He's still moving. He doesn't have anything to do, but someone else is yellow over here. So let's see what else. What's else going on here? Oh, this P3. He's now over. Yeah, let's land him in his home base too. Notice when you land an aircraft, it gets this little red thing on it. This will clear at the end of the turn, but for now, it lets you know this guy is done for the turn. That's what that means. When an aircraft or a ship has this little red thing on top, it means that they are done. Again, all of that is listed in the unit indicators here. All right. Um, that's it, I think. Yeah, you can't do anything more. All right. This guy's done with his search mode. I'm going to take him off search, and I'm going to fly him home. I think he was up here, right? Yeah. This other cat is over his base. I'm going to. Oh, oops. Okay, so that was dumb. He wasn't originally based there, but I just moved him over there. So it's not saying land him in his home base. It's saying transfer non-carrier units to this airfield. Carrier air cannot transfer at all. They have no option to transfer. But land-based air can transfer. So it's asking me, hey, do you want to transfer this guy to this airfield? If I do, I'll do it just because we're about to finish. So if you do that, then he'll be done, and he'll be en route. He'll have a delay of 3 turns where he won't be able to be used. So I'm going to do that. There you go. He is he is done. Right? If we look at here, he's done. He has an en route of 3 turns. Means so it won't be until turn 4 that he'll be available for operations. I'm glad I did that. All right, what else we got? There's somebody else has something to do. Who is this? I think. Oh, the F-18 got over home, so we're gonna land him at his home base. All right, that's it. With that, I think this EA6B is gonna fly home. There he goes. He lands. It's telling me what do you want to do. I'm going to land at my home base. And I think that's pretty much it. I think the only thing left to do is this Russian has a couple more points, so you can move a couple more things. So it's going to ask him to move. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop it right here. Okay, so I think that pretty much. I mean, I went into excruciating detail on this on these aircraft ops. So hopefully that pretty much shows you, first of all, how grognard this game could be. Right? You have to kind of really understand what you're trying to do tactically. It's challenging, but if you made it through this whole thing without turning it off, then then you can definitely do air ops. You should get a merit badge for that. All right, so I think that's about it. I'm gonna think about what to do on the next school. I think maybe I'll talk about the map, so you kind of understand everything on the map, the different terrain types. But I think I've talked enough tonight. So I really do thank you guys for anybody who's playing this game. Please, let me know if you have any questions or features you'd like. I'm thinking of doing a feature where this display turns into a floating dialogue. I'm going to work on that. I'm also working on the large World War III scenario in the Caribbean. That's the next one that I'm going to release with AI support. And we've created a Discord server. So there's a link on the on my YouTube channel. I added the link to the Discord server. So we've got three fellas already joined along with myself, and I put out announcements. Maybe if we get enough people, I'll open up like chat rooms, and I mean it's already a chat room, but maybe a lot, like a voice chat room. If you guys have maybe I'll have a live Q&A. Anyway, we'll just see if there's interest in the Discord server. All right, so until next time, I will see all of you in the next video. Thank you very much.